So the next Manchester United boss, lads, apparently Dan Ashworth, his first job is to recruit a new manager because they've seen enough of Eric Ten Hag. And, there's Ashworth guys. Apparently Southgate is one of them because obviously they worked together at England for a long time. Potter, another. De Zerbi's mentioned, Thomas Frank. And then there's also the betting odd guys who I'm sure Josh can bring up. But generally, first off, do you think it's the right call? Getting rid of Ten Hag.
Is this confirmed or is it just speculation?
It's heavily speculated that Ashworth is good.
I mean, to be fair, when Jim Ratcliffe did his interview a few weeks ago, one of the things he said, he was like, "There's a massive gap between us and Manchester City. We have to make that up." Next interview Ten Hag gave after they lost was, "It's not that big a gap. It's not that big a gap." It's like, yeah, you're getting sacked.
Yeah, right after being the most dominated I've ever seen a Man United side by Man City.
You do realise we've got access to the league table.
Yeah.
We can see it.
We've got eyes.
We can see how you're playing football, mate. Right call to move him on. And I think as a rival fan, I worry about Man United getting better much more if they lose Ten Hag. And that should tell United fans everything.
Yeah, ironically, I don't know how much they're aware of that because a lot of them have been backing Ten Hag and they're worried about instability. But like, stabilised shit is actually still shit. Do you know what I mean? And Southgate is one that I wouldn't feel threatened by. Ironically, I think that would be. I actually think he'd be worse than Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Who out of Southgate and Potter is the more uninspiring? Or are they just
Southgate's so easy, so...
I don't know.
Come on, mate. Southgate's done more than Potter has.
At international level.
International level. He hasn't been given a chance.
You know why, though? Because he had such amazing players that he... Ironically, quite like Ten Hag. When I watch Ten Hag football, I'm like, the quality of your players is pulling you through. The tactics are hindering your team. The quality of the players are helping, and that's the way I look at Southgate in England. Like, if he was managing he would never get a team to overperform.
From an experience factor, he has worked with players of that quality. Whereas Graham Potter, the best players he's worked with would be the ones at Chelsea. When he was with us, players like Kante weren't in the team. They were injured the whole time. So he's
tried it. He's tried to pull a club that's in that sleeping giant phase out of its sleep. And if anything, it was just consistent story.
I think the difference between what might happen with Potter at Chelsea and what might happen at Man United is the thing I always worried about with Potter at Chelsea was like there was like huge earners in your dressing room, huge egos, players that have won things elsewhere.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, but I just looked at it and I was like, you're never going to win over this dressing room. I look at the Man United dressing room, I'm like, you're going to have exactly the same problem there. The only thing, if Ineos are as sensible as we think they are they going to press the reset button in a similar way to what Arsenal did when Arteta came in, where they looked at a lot of older players on big contracts and when we have to change this. And to be fair, I will just say there was a period when Arteta was there when we were still giving contracts. We gave the Aubameyang contract to Aubameyang while Arteta was there, and then I think they realised for squad harmony for the dressing room we need to press the reset button hard. I think the only way Potter works at Man United is if they learn from the lesson of Chelsea of going, this guy is clearly a promising manager. This guy clearly has done things at Brighton that need to be respected. You cannot expect him to walk into a dressing room with players who are all on 300, 350 grand a week, who've been underperforming for years, who look apathetic about playing for that shirt, and expect him to turn that round, because he's not that kind of manager. He's a project manager. You'd have to go long term.
You say he's done stuff at Brighton that need to be respected. Yeah. How respected? Because of the way that Brighton is run, every single manager is set up there to succeed. And every single time it looks like it gets a little bit better. Chris Hughton was praised for the work he did at Brighton.
Yeah, but sorry to cut you off, can I say something though? That's the interesting thing about this, because Dan Ashworth was the person at Brighton that put those things in places for those managers to succeed. That is why Potter did well, because Dan Ashworth set that foundation and was a part of that. So him being at Man United now and potentially bringing in Potter, that's the synergy and chemistry. Although it is a bigger club and the players, bigger egos to deal with, maybe that would be the thing they're betting on.
It's the connection, isn't it? I mean, it's interesting. I was actually reading something in The Athletic that it's only come out in the last hour or two about how what Ashworth wants to do at United is really build that kind of British connection. And he's even looking at a couple of Newcastle players in Anthony Gordon and Lewis Miley that he wants to bring over. Have you not read
serious?
Yeah, he wants to bring Gordon and Miley.
Seriously,
have you not seen that?
No.
So what he wants to do is Potter in and then Miley and Anthony Gordon from Newcastle to... And do you know the interesting thing about that? Is
someone turn the heat up in here.
No, but the interesting thing about it is I completely made it up to wind you up.
Maybe
I just wanted to see your head explode when I said that.
That was classic.
Honestly.
He bought it as well.
So did I.
Do you know what it is?
I thought the show was over there.
Think about it though, logically, Newcastle are terrified of him doing just that or taking he knows every target we have. He knows everyone we want. He knows the entire structure of the club. So he's going to take all of that with him to Manchester United and go, well, they're doing this. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one thing I do think is important to look at is the fact of from the rumours and from the way Eddie Howe spoke about him, I don't think there was much love between the two guys. And I don't think Dan Ashworth wants another situation where he's a director of football and he's dealing with a manager who they're not working together in that way. Like apparently Eddie had final say on the transfers. I don't think as a director of football he wants to recreate that. I think he wants more power and actually was offered more power by Manchester United, which is another reason why he wanted to go there on top of the fact they're a big club. So as much as logically Southgate or Potter doesn't seem like the right move to me, we have to think about what Dan Ashworth wants. He wants someone who's going to be his mate and that they're going to work together, which does make these two names more likely.
Does that rule out the likes of a Thomas Tuchel, one of the bigger? Because one thing with Man United, and this is a point I've made about Chelsea, right? There's only so long where you can go without success that you can still attract those big names. And of course, as a foundation, as an institution of football in the UK, Man United have a bigger name than Chelsea. But the longer it goes on for where they're not having this sort of success, the less and less they're going to be able to attract these star names. Whether you think that having a star name there is the most significant thing, that's another question. You know, at the start of the season, a lot of people would have said that Pochettino would have done a lot better job than Postecoglou. But actually, that's not how it's planned out. But when you look at it and you go, okay, if you want to win something soon, maybe the project's name of Graham Potter isn't someone that's going to come in there and win you silverware in your first season. And if you're itching for it yet next season, people will laugh at this, especially off the back of his time at Bayern Munich, but a Tuchel, maybe someone like that, if he was to leave Madrid, and Ancelotti, there would be other names that potentially wouldn't fit the chemistry that Ashworth's going to want, and even Ratcliffe maybe, but have more chance of coming in and winning.
Well, Ratcliffe has put a timeline on it. He said within 3 years in his interview.
What, 3 years what?
He wants to be competing within 3 years. And for me, that's where you have to find the blend between an Ashworth guy and someone who's actually proven to be able to accelerate a club at light speed. And that's where Southgate, you can think what you want, because I think we all know what we believe about him, but he's done nothing at club level. So that's up to debate. But Potter isn't going to transform a club in 3 years into a Champions League challenging side.
Is there a name that you think would, as a table, is there a name that we think out there? If you're looking at the like I said, we had this conversation last week, I think it was, where we said there is actually parts of that Man United squad where you could see them growing, you know, players that are in there who are decent, who could grow into a team that does challenge. Is there a name out there, managerial, who you could go, he could do it?
I think they could take a punt. 3 years is still a stretch, I think, for where Man United are, but I would take a punt on Inzaghi at Inter Milan. He's done well at Lazio. Inter Milan look like they're going to win Serie A again. I know it's a risk being, you know, a Serie A manager.
Yeah.
But I think they need to look somewhere different. I think we just keep going for the same people, recycle people. Potter, Tuchel, who else is on the table? Conte. These are just the same names that are getting recycled. And these guys have had too many jobs in the last few years. All right, maybe not Potter, because he was only Brighton then Chelsea, but they're just getting recycled around too much.
The odds in terms of the potential managers to come in, Potter is the most likely. He's odds on to be the next manager.
Wow.
Then Inzaghi is
he's number 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Amorim at Sporting. Then Tuchel. Zidane, who seems to be in these lists every time. Zidane's not coming to
Zidane isn't going to touch them.
And then Southgate, Lopetegui, De Zerbi, and then Flick. And then beyond that, I wouldn't really class any of those. So
Potter's never even won it. Look, Inzaghi's about to win a title in Italy. Potter's never won a title. Like, I just think, like, you need winners in there. You need that winning mentality as well, even if it is in a different league. I get the little Ashworth connection that they have. Ooh, it's a brotherhood. Woo! But I just think, get a manager in that has some pedigree, that's actually winning things and hasn't been down his local pub for the last 18 months.
If you're looking at winners, though, the option really is Tuchel, isn't it? Like, if you're looking at
after that shit show at Bayern Munich.
After the shit show, yeah.
I'd be surprised.
After that shit show
if you're
at Bayern
the
Munich.
first guy to not win a title in a team that religiously wins titles, it's crushing on his credibility.
And a lot of people are questioning his man management skills right now. Apparently, he's not good. He's getting put in that Mourinho box of he doesn't know how to handle personalities.
Because, quite frankly, anyone else other than Ten Hag will be a better man manager at Man United. Like, let's be no bones about it. All of that squad are waiting for any other manager. So when you're talking about like Potter being a potential option, he's a way better manager of dealing with those sort of new young players.
One of the main problems with Man United right now is tactics. Like, their tactics are shocking. Yeah. And that's where I do back Tuchel. Like, obviously when they did swap Tuchel for Potter, there was an unknown Chelsea player who you might not want him to be staying at Chelsea anymore, who came out and said, what the fuck are we doing? Like, and you know, that went the way it did. You were better off with Tuchel.
I think if you also look at the squad and you bear in mind how Tuchel's going to play, Tuchel wants to play a 3 or 5 at the back, whatever you want to call it, right? If you look at the Man United squad, they will need to have acquisitions with Tuchel. I absolutely believe that. I think they're going to need a new CM, a new DM. I think they're going to potentially need another cam with that system, because basically what they're going to need is they can't be playing Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire in a back
three. That goes for any manager, though.
Like
literally everyone.
They're going to have to do that.
That squad needs work.
But I think there are a few players that actually are still in that squad that might be better under a Tuchel. And the one that I'm thinking of is Wan-Bissaka. I could see him being one of the sort of inside centre-backs and being really good.
And one of the least key players in the squad.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is...
key, though.
What I'm saying is, if you look at the way that Tuchel played at Chelsea, he was playing like think of Chalobah. He was playing a sort of a guy that could be a wing back, but also played at centre back. I think he could do really well. I think Bruno ends up being a really good player, even better than what he is now under a Tuchel as well, because I think he unlocks him. You've got all of that defensive stability behind him, and then you have like an attacking player.
I think you should go for a manager whose stock is high right now, rather than one whose stock is low. Personally, I think Potter, like I said, he's been out of the job for a while.
Mate,
Tuchel's just been sacked.
Mate, look at all of those options that I just named to you right now. Tuchel's got the best CV.
One manager who's being highly touted by Pep Guardiola is De Zerbi. He's recommending him to Barcelona, apparently. Could that be a one where people look back at and go, we should have got him when we had the chance before Barcelona got him, and now he's transformed?
I think De Zerbi's going to have a pick of the options.
Because he's being slated right now because like he lost to Roma. Was it 4-0, something like that?
Their defence this season.
Porous.
And we have to be very, very fair. They've lost some seriously good players over the last couple of years. There aren't many clubs that could lose the players they lose season in, season out. And going forward, they've had some really good moments this season. You know, I look at the way De Zerbi plays football and I listen to Brighton fans and they say going forward it's the most exciting football you could watch, but the back door is never closed properly. I look at that Manchester United defence. You know, like if you're going to leave players like Johnny Evans, Harry Maguire, even Rafael Varane, if you're going to leave them on an island where everyone else goes forward, you're just going to leak goals.
Yeah.
And they're still playing with Welbeck up top. Like,
yeah, but I think that one of the harshest things about the way people criticise De Zerbi is holding him to the standards of when they did have all those top players. Like, and everyone's like, well, good old Brighton, how do they keep on doing it? And then when they eventually stop doing it because every good player's been bought, you're like, well, yeah, that's what happens, right?
I think the argument could be maybe he should be a bit more of a pragmatist. Maybe you should say, you know what, De Zerbi, we know that you want to play this sort of mad, like full-on attacking football where everyone just goes. Maybe you should, like, you know, where you've lost players like Caicedo, maybe you do need to sit people back. Maybe you should respect him for the fact that he goes, you know what, I'm not going to apologise. I'm not going to back down on my philosophies. We're going to play my football. And if it leaves us with a leaky defence, that's fine, because that's me. And other clubs might look at him and go, you know what, the way you play football, we trust that our centre-backs could do the job of 4 men, and they could do it. So there is an argument.
What if he had better players? Like,
they need to buy.
That's the point. If you put De Zerbi in control of Manchester City right now, are they leaking all those goals because the individual talent is so much higher?
Yeah.
So,
but like you say, Man City, I agree with you.
But Man United.
But Man United, I don't think they've got players who can defend on an island in the way that he would make them do so. And I think at Man United, I kind of agree with you about this 3 at the back thing. Fair, and to Craig's point, Inzaghi plays a 3 at the back.
Yep.
So that would suit United as well. I think there are a lot of players in United's team that would suit that, but I don't think it really matters who comes in at Man United. The biggest job is going to be the job that needs to be done with the squad. And I agree with you, Brian, about tactically, Ten Hag. I just find it sad because I've said this a lot, but I watched his Ajax teams and I thought they played amazing football in a 4-3-3, you know, false nines, midfielders coming in and scoring goals. And it's like he's gone back to how he used to coach before that, and he's playing very transitional, you know, counter-attacking football. I think the worst thing Ten Hag's done for United, it's not the tactics, it's the recruitment. And I think the biggest job they're going to have is recruitment, because they need to overhaul that squad no matter what they do next.
It's mental when you look at it, because we go, recruitment's been terrible, in terms of player relations and man management, terrible. Tactically, terrible. The only thing that's worked out for Ten Hag is the individual talent that's in that squad because of the hundreds of millions that has been spent. That, like even Højlund, just carrying them for periods of the season at times. So I think anyone's going to be an improvement on him, but it's important that they go for a long-term guy. I don't think, as much as they're like, 3 years, like, Ratcliffe needs to get this right, and I think if he does go for a short-term manager, it'll crash and burn immediately. Like, so as much as project managers are not as sexy, I think it's going to stabilise the club far more.
I think this has got Potter written on the wall. I think it's so obvious. He's a yes man, first of all, and I don't necessarily mean that disparagingly. He's going to come in, he's going to listen to Ashworth, he's going to listen to the board, and he's going to do what Ratcliffe and Brailsford want. Like, he's going to build his team in that mould.
Can he inspire them though? Because that's the only thing about him. He doesn't have that like presence.
Well, look, let's talk about modern management. Modern management is keeping a lot of prima donnas on a crazy amount of money happy, and I feel that Potter has got, out of those options that we're looking at, like Tuchel isn't that good at it. I don't really know about De Zerbi, but the jury's out on that. If you look at it, Potter's probably the best one out of those options to look after those guys.
Keep players on big salaries happy? Do you think
what was he like at Chelsea in that regard?
So I don't think you can analyse the way he was at Chelsea, because all of those players that were on the big money, that were the sort of experienced players, were leaving at the end of the season anyway. So I don't think you can necessarily judge his performance on how he dealt with those.
Well, I mean, Sterling wouldn't have really fancied him. He was getting played at wing back under him.
Sterling definitely didn't fancy him.
Yeah. Connect the dots.
I don't think you can really judge Potter based on what Sterling does or does not want. Bearing in mind, he's probably going to be sold ASAP for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at what's good about Man United at the moment, it probably is some of the younger names in there, the names that maybe are going to be easier to sculpt than is a Casemiro going to respect Graham Potter? Probably not. Is a Varane? Probably not. Are Varane or Casemiro going to push Man United on over the next couple of years to where they need to be? Definitely not.
I think Potter does have a record of improving players as well. Like, I know we always banter Potter and what has he won and what has he done, but like, if you look at that Brighton team, he definitely got players that weren't very good to be better than they were.
Yep.
Like, I think that's quite clear. And also the other point that I'll make here is there is a connection between Potter and Ineos. Brailsford loves him. They're always at the same dinner parties. They're always at the same conferences. They all like him. And also, I think the key thing... It does matter, though. It does matter.
It does.
The boys' club.
But that's a bit of what it's like, right? And also, I think what they're going to try and do is they're going to try and build a bit of an English core. And what I mean by that is both managerially, like at the sort of managerial positions of the club, recruitment, but then also I think they're going to do it with the squad as well.
If we're looking...
Lewis Miley.
No. Yeah, I know you were bantering earlier on, but we've already heard rumours about Barkley coming in. I think they're going to be looking at the really good young players like Braithwaite, Gallagher potentially, Braithwaite at Everton.
Yeah, Everton.
There's a lot of rumours about building that English core, and so that's why all of those factors. I think that Potter might be the one that they go.
I honestly think this is all good. I see all this Ineos and all of this. I see all of like the bright lights around it. I see Rio on there talking about it. Like, yeah, I've just had conversations with them. They seem like. I think this is all gonna fail. I genuinely think all of this is going to fail. Trying to make this British dream. We're looking at all the other owners in the club, like, barring maybe Spurs, then all of them are foreign owners. All of them American, Arab. It sounds good. It sounds great. Having Dan Ashworth there. Who's this other guy they're bringing in? Jason Wilcox. He's the director of football at Southampton. They're bringing in two directors of football. What's that about? Have you heard about
Ashworth wants to be a level above, and then this guy wants to be...
That sounds like Ashworth.
He's giving himself a promotion already.
So, why are they taking two directors of football?
I think they're also talking about like a multi-club option as well, and him being involved in that as well.
That's strange. But they're just trying to build this little British contingent, and I just think it's hilarious.
Well, you know what's inspired it? He's a huge fan of Sir Alex Ferguson, and what Sir Alex had was a British core where you'd add a few other players. They get it because they're British. That's the theory behind it. And look, Newcastle
definitely was Scottish. I know that's British, but they don't see those.
Newcastle have tried to do that. You know what I mean? Like, but equally,
Arsenal did it when we started our rebuild. We built from a British core. We brought in players like Ben White. Obviously, we built around Saka. We had Aaron Ramsdale come in. He's going out now, but we did start.
Yeah, but then who's your director of football?
Yeah, but you shouldn't laugh about trying to build an English core. England right now, in terms of squad, we've got one of the best squads in the world. So, like, why would you not want to build an English?
I just can't see it being successful. I would like it to be successful, but I just can't. I've seen the way football's gone. Like the majority, unfortunately, the talent, whether it be managers, owners, and players, the most successful ones have been people outside of Britain. And I would love to see, that renaissance come back and it be a thing. And maybe it will. Maybe I'm just being pessimistic. I don't know, but I just don't see it happening.
The one thing I'll forgive Potter for is what happened to Chelsea. Like, I think that was looking at how things were with Tuchel, looking at how it went with him, then looking at the continuation of how it's going now. Like, you weren't the problem there. The problem is still very much there. And they've spent fuckloads of money and it's still very much there. So I want to give him a bit of a pass for that, even though it's stained the way I look at him. I've got to be honest. Like, it's not a sexy appointment, and I think Man United fans their skin will be crawling a little bit, because it's like, we were wanting a saviour, and he's not going to be viewed as that. He hasn't proven he can do that. But I still think we should look more at what happened at Brighton to judge him than Chelsea.
They'll put him under pressure straight away, though. That's the problem. That happened at Chelsea. But at Chelsea, because he wasn't a sexy name, and he was like, literally, the name Graham Potter isn't sexy.
It's very Moisey, isn't it?
They looked at it. Chelsea fans straight away said, all right, 9 games. I'm giving him a certain amount of games, and the pressure was on from the get-go. And at Man United, even bigger club, after sacking Ten Hag, like you said, where they know he's not the guy in their hearts. I tweeted it the other day. Fans know. It don't matter how many games they win or how they perform. They know in their hearts he's not that guy when Pep Guardiola is your rival's manager. They know that. Yeah. If they get rid of him because they're trying to just play it safe, like you said, and have stability, if they get rid of Ten Hag and bring this guy in, straight away the pressure.
It's ironic.
Graham Potter. It's on him straight away.
Pep really rated Arteta. Look at what Arteta's done. Pep really rates De Zerbi. Again, I'm just saying, like, I don't think Pep.
Follow the goat, man.
You know what I mean?
Follow the goat, man.
He's wrong about a lot of things, but look, is there anyone who stands out for the table? Anyone who are like, yeah, that's what we expect? Not necessarily the best squad, but are we thinking Potter's the guy?
If I was going to put money on it, I'd be putting it on Potter. I just think there's so many connections. Like, when you think of all of the managerial positions, the way he could deal with the squad, I just think it's a done deal.